Neptune in the 7th house in your birth natal chart. First things first, we have to talk about what Neptune means, what energy it brings. Neptune is ruled by Pisces, and it is a very dreamy planet. It rules and brings the energy of idealism, romanticism, poetry, communication, intuition, and all things watery and flowy. And oftentimes Neptune also has a tendency of giving us rose-colored glasses. Basically, we tend to see things as we wish they were and not as what they really are. It's the worst type of idealism because Neptune tends to run with escapism, and sometimes in its worst form, if you don't check yourself before you wreck yourself, you can wreck yourself and dive into drugs and alcohol in order to escape the reality of life if it's too rough. But what about the 7th house? The 7th house is all about relationships, commitment, and the other. So oftentimes the 7th house is looked upon because it really represents like your trajectory in terms of romantic relationships. It's also partnerships and business, but mostly people are very interested in the 7th house because it basically depicts the person that you may end up with depending on the planets and the transits, and also what you need in a relationship and how you are in relationships in general. So what does it mean to have Neptune, the planet of rose-colored glasses, in the 7th house, the house of commitment, relationships, and partnerships? Woo, it's gonna get a little tricky, y'all. I'm gonna start with the not so good aspects of this natal chart aspect, and that is basically anyone who has this transit, Neptune in the 7th house in the natal chart, will tend to romanticize relationships. You might have a hard time accepting reality, whether it's a breakup, or you might end up getting kind of stuck in a relationship that's not healthy, but not being able to see past your love for love and the little loving feelings that you get from it. You might also have a tendency to play the victim or the martyr when things go wrong in your relationships. You might also be super self-sacrificial because you want love to work so badly. And again, these rose-colored glasses have a tendency to make us not really see what's the real deal with a partner, with a relationship, with a commitment, and also how we contribute to the demise of said relationship. Overall, if you have a Neptune in your 7th house in your birth and natal chart, you might idealize relationships, which is not good if you are in a relationship with someone that treats you like crap. So how do we turn this around? How do we use this aspect, you were born with it, and have a positive, idealistic, romantic relationship that's actually healthy? The number one lesson for those who have Neptune in the 7th house in their birth chart is to find a way to stay grounded in the relationships, whether that's therapy or meditation, or just finding a balance within yourself, or maybe having a listening ear of a friend. You have to see things as they are as much as you want it to be different, because you are so into love and idealize partnerships and unconditional love. So it is really about staying as grounded as you can in any way that you can. Also, Neptune in the 7th house natives tend to be self-sacrificial, so you have to be very mindful of what you are giving in your relationships and how much you're giving and why you're giving the things that you're giving. Is it to get some unconditional love back that you're not getting? Are you sacrificing because you like to play the victim? Make sure that you take a look at why you actually contribute in the relationship and the things that you contribute, so you don't play a part in the demise of your relationship by giving too much and then resenting it. Wait, there's amazing things if you have Neptune in the 7th house in your natal chart. You are amazing at unconditional love. You give unconditionally, and if you work on yourself enough to not fantasize and idealize relationships and escape the reality of relationships, when you find that footing, that stable footing, you will end up with a partner that is going to appreciate how dreamy you are, how poetic and romantic and idealistic and supportive and positive that you are. You just have to make sure that you work on yourself, on your self-love, and really practice staying in the present moment. Don't allow the fantasies and the rose-colored glasses. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. You have to see things at face value, and when you learn how to do that, you're gonna have a magical relationship. Obviously, depending on all the aspects and transits in your chart, that might change, but if we're focusing on just Neptune in the 7th house in your birth chart, there is a possibility for long-term, amazingly romantic, like telenovela romance. So just work on yourself and you'll be all right. So again, Neptune in the 7th house natives, make sure that you balance your idealistic world with reality, with day-to-day. Romantic love, actually, that feeling only lasts 2 years, and you don't want to end up jumping from relationship to relationship because you don't get that loving feeling like you used to. Work on yourself, love yourself, and let love come in. That's it for me, your girl Suhaiti, right here on Suhaiti TV. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like all things astrology, tarot, and if you're a writer and want writing and blogging tips, we're coming with those tips to you next time every Thursday, and astrology readings drop on Tuesdays and sometimes sprinkled in the middle of the week. So make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you next time.